to Web Sleuths Radio with Tricia Griffith, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Well, hello, everybody. It is the debut show of Web Sleuths Radio, and I have just got to say two words. Cool beans. That goes out to T.L. Cox, Oakley, and a Candy Rose. Do you remember saying cool beans when we were younger? I do, but I'm an old bat, so that happens. Anyway, welcome to Web Sleuths Radio. It's our very, very first broadcast. Now, this isn't going to be your granddaddy's radio show. I have no idea what that means. That just kind of sounded cool at the time. I do know this. Web Sleuths Radio is all about true crime, current events, and we're discussing it with common sense. And first off, I'd like to say a special thanks to Beach and Sosumi for getting me up to speed on the Anthony case, although I'm nowhere near where you guys are as far as the details go, so you're going to have to help me kind of go along with this case because there is so much going on in the Casey Anthony case. Now, today's show, since it's our first show, is going to be very intimate, okay? It's going to be inside information. If you're listening and you don't know anything about Web Sleuths or our sister forum, Forums for Justice, you might be a little confused. But this is just kind of a show between friends, okay? We'll talk about some inside stuff on Web Sleuths, things that I don't think you know about yet, and we'll just kind of move on from there. Let me tell you a few things that Web Sleuths Radio will not do. Web Sleuths Radio will not allow guests or callers to shout over each other. In fact, I'm working on a new piece of software that actually allows me, this is true, actually allows me to reach my hand through the screen and smack the crap out of anyone who interrupts. It's not quite ready yet, so until then, we'll just have to make sure no one talks over each other. I promise you, I will never make a guest feel humiliated, unless they're a total jerk and they deserve it. But, I mean, that will be rare. I will let a guest finish a topic. I won't put words into the guest's mouth. You won't be listening to Web Sleuths Radio and cringe at the way we treat people that we have on our show. Web Sleuths Radio will always be interesting, at times funny, at times serious. And one thing you should know about me, okay, I use humor, irony, and sarcasm when I'm talking about something upsetting. It's like a natural reflex for me, like a doctor taking a hammer to your knee. My tongue just kicks into high gear at times when things get serious. It's not because I don't take the topic seriously. It's because I'm upset at something. Some people cry. Some people yell. I become a total smartass. It's a curse, so forgive me. Another thing, you will never hear me say, unleash the lawyers. I promise. If you do, and we should ever meet up, you have a right to smack the crap out of me. Okay, the debut Web Sleuths radio show might have some rough spots, so forgive me. I haven't done this for a long time. I haven't done a live radio show in about 10 years. I've done a lot of recorded ones, but not live, so I'm really, really rusty. I'm like the Tin Man and the Wizard of Oz, just standing there, not able to move, but oil won't help me. The only thing oil will do is if it's on a Caesar salad with garlic bread and a big jug of wine. Then I'll loosen up, but that's about it. Okay, we're going to be discussing the Anthony case. What a shock, huh? My guest tonight, our Web Sleuth's own AZ lawyer. You have seen her incredible postings on our legal questions thread and elsewhere. Also joining us is the administrator extraordinaire Kimster with her ray gun. She will shoot you down if you don't behave. Here's the scoop. If you log into your Web Sleuths account right now and look at the long blue bar across the top of the page, it says things like members list, FAQ, things like that. Look for the word chat. Click on that, and you'll be taken to the Web Sleuths chat room, and you can post your questions there, or you can even call our studios at 1-818-602-4929. Although since it's our debut show, I'm not sure if we'll take callers yet. I don't know if I'm quite coordinated enough to handle that. Okay? How about if we get started? Let's talk about families for a moment. It's rare that someone is not mortified by a family member at some point. When we are little, our parents mortify us, especially when we're teenagers. Our parents totally mortify us. Our kids might do things to embarrass us. Siblings embarrass us at times. Well, and let's face it, every family has some sort of dysfunction in it in some way, right? You show me a non-dysfunctional family, I say put them in a zoo so the rest of us can observe these rare creatures. I don't think it happens. No matter how dysfunctional we think our families are, at the top of the dysfunction list, I'm not talking Manson family dysfunction. I'm just talking good old American family where you think everybody is okay, but they're really not. On the top of that dysfunction list, in my opinion, is the Anthony family. And Cindy Anthony is ground zero when it comes to dysfunction, again, in my opinion. Of course, we don't know everything about them, and I'm only going by the info that you and I have read in the mainstream media and that we have on WebSleuth. And there's a lot of things that go on behind closed doors, as we know. Now, I think a lot of you might remember that I actually did talk to Cindy Anthony once. Now, on WebSleuth, we do our best to verify people who come on and say they are lawyers and doctors, or if they say they are communicating with somebody involved in the case. We'll ask them to stop posting, and then myself or perhaps an administrator will call and verify that what they're saying to us is true. We've actually had people come on WebSleuth posing as somebody they're not. A surprise, that happens on the Internet every once in a while. We try and avoid that, one of the few forums that do that, by verifying people. Somebody came on and was posting that they were emailing with Cindy Anthony. I can't remember what they said. It wasn't anything major, but I wanted to check it out. So I asked this person to stop posting while I contacted Cindy. Somehow Cindy and I ended up on the phone, and it was a very nice conversation. She was very polite, but it was something really interesting that she told me. First of all, she said that she didn't know about WebSleuth, never heard of it. Later, we found out, of course, that she had hundreds of WebSleuth pages printed out that were found in her garbage, so I think that was not true. But something she told me, and let me phrase this by saying I'm going by my memory, okay? So if I don't get all the facts totally right, it's just a memory thing. It's not on purpose. But one thing she told me was she had hired a lawyer to help take down the websites that used bad language to describe Casey. I tried to explain to her that as an owner, she could sue me all she wanted, but it wouldn't work because I am protected by a federal law. There is a federal law that protects me as owner if you post something on my website. That's why we always say you own your words, not us. So if she did sue me, all I'd have to do is quote this federal law and we're done. Of course, she said she wasn't going to sue me. It wasn't about me, she said. And then I said, you know, Casey is a public figure. People can have their opinions about her, and even if they use bad language, it's okay. I mean, that's just how it is. And I told her, I said, Cindy, if your lawyers are telling you that you, Cindy Anthony, can take down the Internet, they're lying. They just want your money. But my point in this whole long story is, does it surprise you at all that Cindy Anthony thought she could take down basically the Internet? Okay, a little while later, I'm going to say a few months, not too much longer, after that phone call, I get an email. And it's from an anonymous person. And they say words to the effect, I want to expose the real Cindy Anthony. She is such a bitch. It's time everybody learns about her. And they had attached all these emails from Cindy Anthony's personal Yahoo account to send them to me to post on WebSleuth to show what a horrible person Cindy was. And then in the email, I believe they basically said, if you want more, I've got them. Email me and ask for them. I'll give them to you. Well, I open up and look at these emails, and there's nothing in the emails that indicate anything but Cindy being a nice person. It was just communications between Cindy and people. It was absolutely nothing. It was obvious to me it was a setup. Whoever did this wanted me to email them and say, yes, send me Cindy Anthony's personal email. That's illegal. Okay, not only could I get in a lot of trouble, it would just be a horrible, immoral thing to do. So what I did was I wrote the person back a very angry email, and I said, you know, what you're doing is wrong. This is illegal. I will have no part of it. And not only will I have no part of it, I am going to tell Cindy Anthony what you're doing. So I forwarded the emails to Cindy, and she said that, yes, her email account had been hacked, and it was illegal for me to post these emails. And I said, Cindy, in my email, I said, I know. That's why I'm sending it to you. I want to ask you something. Would it surprise you in any way, shape, or form if it was Cindy Anthony that tried to set me up? I don't know if it was or not. I have no idea. But doesn't it sound like something she might do? Remember the hairbrush? Okay, I think it very well could have been her. I don't know. Cindy Anthony, in my opinion, created Casey Anthony and does not have the ability to recognize her mistakes. Take a video of Cindy strangling Casey, and she would deny it. Even if we showed it to the whole world, she would deny it. In my opinion, George is an abused husband, She has worn him down to a nub of a human being with her. I can just hear her screeching at him in my mind. I feel so bad for him. I really do. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe Casey killed Kaylee. It's all about Kaylee. Remember her? And deserves to be punished. But I think it's important for us to understand how a monster like Casey Anthony is created so we can do our best not to create any more people like Casey. We're going to discuss the dysfunction in the Anthony family in just a little bit. But first, I'd like to go to our first guest. Our first guest on the first Web Sleuths radio show. Ladies and gentlemen, she has informed you on the law for years. Please welcome A.Z. Lawyer. Hi, A.Z. Lawyer. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. I'm finally getting to hear your voice. I've read your incredible posts for a long time, and you offer and provide so much to our Web Sleuths posters. I really appreciate it. You are a verified lawyer. You are the real deal, and so that's why I want to talk to you about last week. It was nuts, jury selection. It's just going to get crazier. We know that. First of all, let me say, I love Judge Perry. I want to marry that man. He is my hero. Don't you think he's a good judge? I mean, have you seen a judge as good as Judge Perry in your work?
I have, but I think he's certainly among the top. During the jury selection process, I thought he made a couple mistakes. I think he fixed one of them as we went along, and I think the other one is not going to be an appeal issue on the side of the defense, so I basically don't care.
Well, okay, so tell me what those mistakes are. I'm interested. I have no clue if he made mistakes.
Okay, well, the first thing that I had a concern about was obviously this lady that I don't know if you've talked to people about the detail of the jury selection. I had a concern about this African-American lady. The state attorneys attempted to challenge her as a peremptory challenge, meaning that they are allowed to exercise the challenge for any reason or for no reason, but they can't exercise it for a certain number of bad reasons, for example, to get rid of somebody based on their race. So the defense said, well, they're exercising this strike to get rid of this lady because of her race. It was sort of patently ridiculous argument. And for the first time ever that I've seen, and for the first time ever that any of the verified lawyers on Web Sleuths have seen, one of those racially based challenges to a peremptory challenge was granted. And the judge said you could challenge her for any reason or for no reason, but you can't challenge her because of your race, and I think that's what you're doing. And he kept her on the jury.
That's
not going to be an appeal. It's not going to be an appeal issue for the defense because the defense's challenge was granted. This issue that it was a racial based challenge. But on the other hand, this lady, she I think is going to have a tough time voting guilty because she said she had a difficulty in judging people.
Let me ask you about that first before we go to the next mistake that the judge made. I felt